Okay, grand.
Perfect.
Okay, lads.
Right.
So we just wanted to keep the screen on my face. Val's pretty much said it all there, but just so we weren't jumping straight into a presentation, so you could actually put a face to the name. So again, I know you're all doing exams and you'd probably rather be out in the sun now, and some of you may be out in the sun, but we won't keep you long, okay? It's just a basic introduction to nutrition and some tips for isolation training and what we're going to be doing, hopefully with all of you guys together going forward. Hopefully we'll be able to, well, we will be doing some gym sessions on Zoom together, so that should be good for us. Anyway, so without further ado, lads, we will get to it. Everyone can see that, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, grand. Okay, so let me just move these out of the way. All right, so basically, lads, we're just introducing nutrition and gonna go over some tips for the isolation training. There we go. Okay, so most of it has already been said. But my name, obviously, Conor Wynne Walsh. Graduated from sports science this year. I've been head coach with the seniors strength and conditioning for the last 2 years, and do some work out in the sub academy with Leinster. I've looked after Dublin under 16s and then done some adapted physical activity stuff out in Stewart's Hospital out in Palmerstown. So a broad spectrum, but all around the physical activity sort of thing. Just think this is important to include so you get to know who I am a bit, my values. You'll probably get more used to the word values as you progress through the school, but this is stuff that I kind of learned in school and what I still live by today and apply it to all my fields of work. So honesty, humility, strength, selflessness, enjoyment, because you got to have fun along the way. And then obviously what this is all about, a healthy lifestyle. Okay, and then that philosophy that I have, education and inclusion through physical activity. What does that mean? So I want to provide information to you guys on your journey, I suppose, to lead that healthy lifestyle. And within that philosophy, I hope to be able to teach some values and discipline to you guys that you can take with you for life, as I done when I was in the school. I'm lucky enough to have it. So basically, think of this presentation as an umbrella. Under that umbrella, we're going to cover an introduction to nutrition and then briefly go over the tips for isolation training. And this is going to be broad, lads. As we progress through the school, get a bit older, stuff becomes more specific. We'll go into it in more detail. So this is a broad background on nutrition and training for yourselves. So why is it important? Like, obviously, we have to provide the body with sufficient energy perform the activities of daily living. And that could be walking up the stairs, cutting the grass, even sitting down. You might not think it, but you are using energy. Maintain that strong immune system. Never been more important than the present time. And then if we're looking at it from a performance point of view, optimize our preparation for competition and our recovery then, so we can go again, return to that state of performance readiness. Okay. This is the food pyramid, so the HSE from the Department of Health. Now, this isn't taking into account athletes or young growing lads like yourselves, okay? This is basically just recommendations and guidelines for the whole population. So at the bottom there, you've got your fruit, veg, bringing it up, your breads, rice, pasta, and then we get slowly, think of it as it gets smaller, that's what you need less of. So up at the top there, you can see that's all your refined, processed shit, for want of a better word. That, yes, it's still all right to have in our diet, but we want to try and limit that. So if you notice the bottom levels of the pyramid, they're all made up of whole foods. So you might hear that phrase being thrown out. What is a whole food? It's basically a food that hasn't been processed or refined, or there's little processing to it. So like not processed would be obviously all your fruit and veg. A little bit of process and refining is going to be milks, yogurts, cheese and stuff like that. And then obviously that red portion up the top of our pyramid, they're completely processed. Obviously, in small doses, we need them to satisfy that sweet tooth, but think of an 80-20 rule. So we want to try and stay 80% good with our diet, and then 20% allow ourselves to have that little treat now and again. So calories. This is basically where we get our energy from. And all food and drink, obviously, with the exception of water, has calories in it. So anytime you eat anything or drink anything, you're getting energy in, okay? Going down from that, we've got our macronutrients. So carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Macro, i.e. big, so we need these in large amounts. So macronutrients are going to make up the majority of your diet. All right, so every meal you eat, you should be having a carb source in there, protein source, and a source of fat. Firstly, we're just going to look at the carbohydrates. If you think of yourself as a car, carbs are the petrol or the diesel or whatever you want to call it, the fuel. So every time you eat carbs, you're going to the petrol station, you're filling up. Okay, some examples: oats, rice, or pastas, bread, fruit, honey. They're more sugary stuff. Every time we eat carbohydrates, it's either going to be stored in our muscles or our liver, or we'll use it straight away as fuel. Okay, so that's basically what we're thinking of. Think of carbs as fuel. Proteins. So everyone kind of thinks as protein of just the building block of muscle. We're actually the building block and for growth and repair of all tissues within the body. Okay, so when you think protein, obviously very important for building muscle, but it is so key for the growth and repair of all tissues throughout the body. Examples, obviously you've got your meat, fish, poultry, eggs, dairy, all really good sources of protein. I'm not sure if there are any vegans out there, but obviously we've got our tofus and chickpeas, all our varieties of beans as well. Really good sources of protein that even if you aren't vegan, it's great to get them into the diet. Okay, fat. I suppose from my own experience and what I find with younger people, there's a lot of, as you get to know me, lads, you'll realize that I'm not a fan of the whole social media fitness craze, because you get a lot of information that isn't really evidence-based or backed up. So fat has kind of become this phenomenon that we should all be scared of and stay away from. Absolutely not the case. Really important for the whole health of our body. So our cardiovascular, what that is our heart, all the blood vessels, the function of our brain. Okay, so even particularly when you guys are in exams, make sure you're getting that bit of salmon in, avocado, whatever it is, it's really going to help that brain function, our immune system, and then hormone production, which again is really important for performance. So you've got your your sex hormones, obviously testosterone is important in building muscle and from a performance point of view. Some examples there, we have nut butter. With the nut butter, again, when we talk about whole foods, it's a really good brand out there called Meridian. Like we're going to touch on resources for getting ideas for food and that later on in the presentation. But try and stay away from them really refined peanut butters, because yes, although it says in the tin it is peanut butter, and you'd be surprised what else is in it. Okay, and then obviously our vegetable oils, whether that be olive, sunflower, rapeseed oil, oily fish, salmon, mackerel, etc. Micronutrients. Now again, it's in the name. Micro, we only need them in small amounts, but they are so important to the function of the body. And physiology is basically just a study of how the body works. So in case that might be a word some of you are unfamiliar with, it's basically all the vitamins and minerals that are just so important to the normal functioning of the body. You can see some of the functions they have down there: blood clotting, cell growth, stuff like that. An easy tip for me, I just try and include them some form of micronutrient with every meal I have, whether that be a few blueberries and a banana on my porridge in the morning, or a handful of spinach with my lunch. It's so important to get them in, lads. And if you don't like them, I suggest you get to like them, because you'll reap the rewards from including them in your diet. So this is basically what I want you guys to focus on for the time being in terms of the hierarchy of importance of stuff to take into account when you think about nutrition. So firstly, the base, most important thing, you want to make sure you're getting in enough food. Okay, so you're getting in enough energy. Obviously, when days you're training and stuff, eat a little bit more, have a little bit more carbs with breakfast, get the protein in after you train, and obviously replace the carbohydrates that you would have burned. Okay, so then our macronutrients, that's the second level of the pyramid. Vital that we get in are good sources of carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Okay, and again, yes, allow yourself the odd treat now and again, but remember our 80-20 rule. Okay, 80 good whole foods, 20% we can allow ourselves to treat. And obviously you don't need to whip out the calculator, just eyeball that. All right, micronutrients then is our next level. Really important for that function of the body. So we need to make sure we're getting sufficient micronutrients in. Okay, and then timing as well. So this is going to lead on to the next part of the presentation. When should we eat and stuff like that. All right, so focusing a bit more on that timing. What's really important with this, lads, is routine. Like I had a guy, one of our guys from the seniors was asking me for a bit of advice. We got chatting and I found out that he was waking up at like 12 o'clock in the day, and because of that he missed nearly 2 meals, or a meal and a snack. And he's asking me if I want to try and improve my performance and put on a bit of size. And you need to get into a good routine, lads, and make sure you're getting them meals in. So 3 to 4 really good meals, and then you can allow yourself 2 to 3 snacks in between then. All right, we're just going to give a few brief examples, and then you'll have a slide with resources later on in the presentation that we can use for ideas and stuff like that as well. All right, so what might a breakfast look like? Again, what do we think of? So energy, macronutrients, micronutrients, and then the timing is obviously breakfast. So I've got my porridge there. That's my carbohydrates, nut butter on top. It's a good source of fat. And then my protein I'm getting from the nut butter as well, from the eggs. Really good source of fat in the egg yolk. And then my micronutrients obviously coming in my blueberries and bananas there. And now, lads, these are just examples. There are so many options to choose from. And as I said, we have a few resources we can provide you with to give you more options and suggestions. So that's basically what you have to think of. So revert back to your pyramid. Do you think you're getting sufficient energy from the meal? Am I getting my macronutrients, so my carbohydrates, my protein, and my fat in? Is there a micronutrient source? And obviously the timing is self-explanatory. Around training, now don't have to be religious with this, whether it's pre or post. Obviously you want to make sure you do have a bit of fuel before training, and then post training we need to replenish that and get some protein in. But if we get a snack in around training, a really good snack that contains a source of carbohydrate and protein, that's a good starting point. So whether that be before or after, we'll take either. But like a smoothie is one of the easiest, and it's just so handy because you get your source of micronutrients in. You've got your protein from your yogurt, fat from your nut butter, protein from your nut butter as well. I think someone do it. No, we don't have anyone in the waiting room. And then, yeah, the frozen fruit just makes the consistency of the smoothie really, really good. And again, if it's a training day or a day where you're really active, you can just add some oats in for extra carbohydrates or whatever it may be. If you have a strong enough blender, they're usually good at turning anything into liquid. So moving on to lunch, again, what are we thinking? Macronutrients, micronutrients, am I getting it in at the right time? So obviously your carbohydrates, your pasta, protein, your chicken, fats, pesto. For Happy Pear, they do a really good pesto using really quality ingredients. Obviously there is good alternatives out there as well, but just make sure that it's none like some of the pesto you may get in a glass jar can be really refined, but I wouldn't worry too much about that. Anyway, usually pestos are a really good source of fat. You've got your oil in there, pine nuts, etc. Okay, another snack, just an example. So a handful of nuts, and dried fruit or whatever it may be. If you want, you can slice up an apple, put some peanut butter on top, whatever you fancy. There's really, again, there are so many options. And as I said, we will provide you with some more resources to explore them options. Dinner, again, it's a big meal. What are we looking at? Our macronutrients and our micronutrients. Yes, we're getting them in: salmon, fat, protein, sweet potato, our carbs, and then obviously our greens, rocket lettuce, spinach on the side. We're still getting them micronutrients in. As I mentioned, lads, with the fat, like salmon is an unbelievable source of fat. This slightly too much detail, but you might be hearing omega-3. Basically, salmon is a really good source of omega-3, and what that does is it's brilliant for the health of your heart and your heart system, and then obviously brain function. So try and get in salmon once or twice a week if you can, and really important to be getting them healthy fats in around exam time as well, obviously, because they have the effect, the positive effect on brain function. Moving on to our evening snack or pre-bed snack. So when you're asleep, obviously you're getting no nutrients in. So it's a good idea to have this pre-bed snack kind of based around protein, okay? Give our muscles something to feed off during the night. So something like Greek yogurt with your nut butter. I'm mad about nut butter if you haven't realized already. Fruit and toppings on top. And again, like that, obviously don't go breaking up chocolate bars and putting it on top, but you can get creative with the toppings, and you find something you like. Good habits and routine are like, they go hand in hand with good nutrition practice. Hydration, obviously it's important all the time, even more so now with the good weather we're getting. You'd be surprised how much water you'd lose in just an hour exercising outside. And as you can see, all the good benefits it has. Like, we're made up 70% water, which some of you might find hard to believe. I'm obviously not going to read all them out, lads, but we'll send on these slides and you'll be able to go through them to yourself. But I can't stress enough how important it is that we get that water in. Supports the functions of the body, makes up like most of our blood. If you think about it, blood is liquid, obviously, made up mostly of water. Our brain surrounded by water. It's just so important, lads. So what I would advise on that, try and get in 4 liters a day. Like a 2 liter bottle or one of them jug bottles, they're handy just to have, just to make sure you're on top of it. I was about an hour and a half before bed, just get a glass into me. Same thinking with the protein. Obviously, I'm not getting up on the hour to take a sip of water during my sleep, so I make sure I'm getting it in that little bit before, obviously, because you don't want to be getting up during the night and disrupting that sleep. And then glass of water beside the bed first thing in the morning, get it down you, start getting the organs, waking them up and ready for the day. All right. And after training, as I said, so important. You've got to replace that. So by 150% again. This will all come to you when we go on to our senior cycle and stuff. For now, just drink up, okay? Don't worry about the figures. All right, so now we're looking on a bit more performance nutrition. So when we're thinking of recovering from training, what do we think about and how do we want to recover? So you have your 3 R's, and the S stands for sleep. Okay, so many people come to me and say, look, I'm not getting anywhere, or I'm always sore, my muscles are always sore. First question I always ask, how much sleep you're getting. Okay, if you're getting less than 8 hours sleep a night, lads, and quality sleep, ideally we're trying to get to bed before 12 o'clock. 1 hour before is worth 2 hours after. So try and get that quality sleep and get into a routine. If we're missing out on that 8 hours sleep a night, the process of building muscle, it's actually negatively impaired. So make sure you get that sleep nailed down into a routine and get it right. Okay, refuel is obviously our carbohydrates. After we've driven down to Limerick or Cork, whatever it is, we go to the petrol station, we need to fuel up again. Okay, exact same thing. If you go for a run, you need to go to the petrol station, i.e. the kitchen, and get some carbs into you. All right, repair. So we need to repair the muscle that we have just damaged and used in training and give it a good chance and opportunity to grow. And then rehydrate, obviously just touching on the water, we need to replace the fluids we have lost. And then finally, what that S stands for is our sleep. So I think everything, well, this may be a bit extreme, but if your sleep is not in order, you can kind of forget about everything else. So make sure that's in order. First, we talk about these big rocks, right? So imagine you have a glass filled with big rocks. Your sleep and your nutrition are your big rocks in there. And then we're just filling that glass with sand, the little intricate details, okay? So again, it's back to this. These are our big rocks. So our total energy intake, our macronutrients, our micronutrients, our sleep, our recovery, they're our big rocks. Everything else comes after that. Okay, we'll worry about these for the time being. And then when we start progressing on, when our training age gets a bit older and we're more advanced athletes, we will start worrying about the intricacies. Okay, these are the recommended resources that I was mentioning. HSE has some great recipes up there on their website, lads. Some great family recipes as well. So if you fancy getting hands-on and taking a bit of heat off the father or the mother, cook a meal for the family, all right? This guy, Daniel Davey, he's a performance nutritionist, works with Leinster and the Dublin senior footballers. So easy to follow, lads. Great snacks, breakfast ideas, lunch, dinner, the works. Like, you've got savory snacks, sweet snacks, and everything is in there. And it's all using whole good foods. So that's the link to the website. A lot of the recipes are available on the website, so you don't need to necessarily go out there and buy the book. I think it's about €15 if you do fancy buying the book. But as I said, a lot of the stuff is there on the website. Again, the happy pair, these guys have books out too, but there's more than enough recipes on their website. So there's really no need to go out there buying books, because you've got these resources available to you. We'll send on these presentations, so you'll be able to just click the link and go straight to these websites. All right, so that's the nutrition side of things ticked off. And now we're just going to give a brief introduction to the training side of things. As I said, we will be starting circuits and that together. So I'm going to, I suppose, look after the science and that behind it, but it's important that you guys are aware of the basics. And again, the big rocks in training this time, as opposed to nutrition. So no presentation is complete without a Simpsons reference. There are 7 commandments of training. So when you're training, this is what you got to be thinking about. All right, so specificity, progressive overload, reversibility, recovery, variation. The FITT principle, what that stands for is frequency, intensity, time, and type, and then diminishing returns. So I'm just going to give you a brief background on all of these. As I said, just because I want you to have an awareness. I'll worry about implementing it, but just so you guys are aware of why we are training the way we are. All right, so specificity. This one is pretty obvious. Most of them are obvious, to be honest, lads. It is what it says it is. To become better at something, obviously you've got to perform that thing and train that thing to become better at it. So if we want to become better rugby players, we've got to work on our skills. We've got to spend time in the gym. If we've got to want to become better long distance runners, we've got to run. All right, it's very simple. Progressive overload. So if we want to adapt and grow, we've got to load the body beyond what it's normally used to. Like, I'm not going to grow if my body is used to sitting on the couch all day and I try to train for a marathon by sitting on the couch. All right, I've got to stress my body beyond what it is normally used to. And don't worry, we will be doing that on the Zoom circuits. Reversibility. So use it or lose it. Again, as I said, lads, all of these are pretty obvious. If you stop training, you're going to lose the adaptations that you got from the training. It's a great quote out there. The best way to stay in shape is to never get out of shape. So just keep ticking away. I know we're off on our summer holidays now, but really important that we keep ticking over. and hopefully the Zoom sessions give you an opportunity to do that. All these adaptations and stuff to training, I'll stop you there because you're wrong. So all the adaptations occur during your recovery period, meaning that it is an essential pillar of training. Have to recover properly. Again, taking it back to them 3 R's. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. So to avoid you lads getting bored, and even me getting bored, we got to vary it up every once in a while to keep things interesting. The FITT principle. So these are all things that can be manipulated to get the most out of our training. So frequency is how often are we training a week? Intensity, how hard? Time would be like volume. So are we training in the gym for 40 minutes, an hour and a half? And then type, that kind of ties in with the specificity. Obviously, the type of training we're doing must be specific to the sport or event that we're training for. Diminishing returns. So you guys are all pretty lucky. You're near enough the start of your, I suppose, training journey. So you are going to get a lot of adaptations to training very quickly. And some of the senior lads and the likes of myself and Val, we have to work a lot harder because we have that older training age. If we want to still improve and adapt, we have to work harder, dig a little bit deeper to get them adaptations. So you guys are lucky.
Settle down, mate.
All right, are we frozen there? Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm just gonna skip out to the senior one there. You can finish off here.
Perfect. Yeah, we're nearly wrapping up here. Yeah.
Boys, I'm going to duck out there, but I'll post this on the Edmodo, the slides. Make sure you keep in contact with CW and lads. Make sure you get your boys mobilised for tomorrow's session at 3 o'clock. So it's a big opportunity, lads. I know there's only a few of you in here, but make sure that you spread the word, because if we don't get a good turnout, then it's not worth doing, lads. So make sure the lads buy in.
Perfect.